Welcome back. Today I'm going to continue going through my backlog of rapid games over on Lichess. I have actually stopped playing rapid games on Lichess just because I got so far behind on analyzing them, trying to figure out what went wrong in the games that I lost, or what I could have done better in the games that I won. I'm going to try to do this even better than last time and just go to the moments at which the game changed, in which I gave away an advantage or something like that. In this game, I was checkmated on move 42, but it appears from the graph that there were just a couple of spots where things went wrong, and I'm going to go to those and try to figure out what I should have done instead. And I do know that the moves are going to be listed in the right column. For example, right here it says queen to f1 was best, and then it gives a little string. I don't know how to get rid of those. If you do know how to get rid of those, let me know, because I would like to go through this being able to toggle the analysis on and off here without seeing the answers in the move list. It does look like here, after 17 moves or so, my opponent has made an inaccuracy, and I had a -8 advantage. What should I have done here? I didn't have to look at this one very long, but I think what I should have played is pushing this f-pawn forward. It's protected by the rook, and it would be a fork of these pieces. So I'm going to guess that's what it was moving this pawn forward. I don't know what I did play. If I have to guess, I probably traded here. Let's see, what did I do? Oh no, I played knight to d7 here. That was a blunder. Okay. It does say f3 was best. Okay. But if I turn on these lines, does it agree? Yes, f3 was best. g4 would have kept me with a sizable advantage, as would have h5. Any of those pawn moves would have been fine, and I would have had a significant advantage, but f3 was the best. Okay, I get that one. But instead, I did that, and my opponent did not blunder back. They played their best move, which was to take that pawn, since I've just blocked my queen from defending it. My next move was among my best, which was to take that knight at this point. My opponent played here. I did catch it before I turned away. I didn't catch what I should have played, but I caught what I did play. If I saw it right, what I did play was f3, and that's not the best move here. What is the best move here? Let's see, what's undefended? This pawn is undefended, which I could defend by putting my knight here. That would defend the pawn, attack the bishop, and attack the knight. So I'm going to guess it was knight to c5? Yes, okay. Yes, knight to c5. All right, that makes sense. If I had just taken a little bit more time, how much did I spend on the wrong move here? 6 seconds? I mean, 6 seconds isn't bad in a 10-minute rapid game, but I probably could have spent 10 or 15 seconds. Here I saw it much quicker. I just looked around, I saw which pieces of mine were undefended. I don't know what that does. What does f3 do? f3 gives up the pawn. The knight can just take it. Protected by the queen. Yeah, that's all that does. Or the bishop can take it. Either one. Because the queen and the knight and the bishop all point at that square. So I don't know why in the world I played f3 here in 6 seconds. But I should have seen that this pawn was undefended. A very simple, it doesn't suggest it in the move list above, but I could have defended it by moving the rook over. But again, I saw that pretty quick here. It defends the pawn, attacks the bishop, and attacks the knight all at one time. Okay, got that. Let's see, that was the blunder. Did my opponent blundered by taking back? Wait, should they not have taken back? They should not have taken back. Oh, then my move's not a blunder if the obvious move that responds to it is a blunder. That seems pretty obvious to me. It gets it out of this problem, for one thing. But what they should have played was knight to e6. Oh, that attacks all 3 of these pieces. And they still have the bishop attacking there with the queen. Okay, that's what they should have played, but they did that. So now I have an advantage again. I did look up. I don't know if I played the right move, but I did see what the right move was. It was that. Okay, it did say knight to f6. Okay. It's hard not to see those. Can I turn that off without looking? I tried this once before, but I don't think I can. I'm going to try to look at the button and not the move. Okay, I didn't see any moves here. All right, that was a mistake, giving me an advantage again. And according to the graph, this is the last time I had this much of a lead, so I must have given up something here. What should I have played instead? That is probably what I played, because it looks kind of obvious, but they'll just take back, and they are currently up on material, so that's probably not the best. Also, this pawn is still undefended. I should move this somewhere that's not there, exposing this attack, right? Let's see. Where should I move that knight? Not here, because their queen will just take it. Not here, because their bishop would just take it. But then I would be aiming at their knight again, and they would just have to move it back, but that's not great. It does look like they brought this forward and were aiming for this fork again. But they didn't see the fork when their knight was over here. They went back, but now they've come forward again. They've kind of made a diagonal square here. I don't know what my best move was here. And I don't know what I played, so I am going to look What I played was, yeah, that's what I played. Okay, I kind of thought that, and what I should have played was queen to d6. Okay, well, that avoids the fork and protects against it. Continues protecting my knight. It doesn't guard this pawn, though, but they're not supposed to take that pawn. Okay, but yeah, what I played was bad, and from my opponent gave me a very slight advantage back here in just a second, but I never had a big one again. They did take that, which was probably their best move. This was inaccurate, but not horrible. Okay, that's a blunder. It gives me the advantage. Am I supposed to check here? Or is that what I played? I don't know. I haven't looked. I can check there. Can I check anywhere else? That's actually pretty good because my bishop's coming down through here. I don't see anything else. So I am going to say queen to g6 check. Oh, that was my best move. What did I play? Why did I play that? What does that do? Oh, that aims here. But that's really easily blocked by this pawn, which is, yep, that's their best move. Is that what they played? It is not. They went to get out of it, which still allows me to come in here. Is that the best move? No. Okay. Yeah, I did make another mistake here, and I already looked. Stockfish is having trouble deciding what my best move is, but what I played was rook to f4, which is interesting. But what I should have played was taking this pawn. Stockfish thinks sometimes, but other times it says rook a to e8 is my best move. It keeps switching back and forth between those two, or bishop to b6 check, all of which would have been fine, but I played that instead. I don't know what that does or what I was thinking. I spent 10 seconds on that. Bishop to b6 check seems pretty obvious. I'm not sure why it's not listed, but this also seems okay, I guess. But no, then their king would just move to one of those two squares. Well, if it moved up here, I could check it again. And then they could block with the pawn. Yeah, I don't know. I guess that really doesn't do much, but I'm surprised I didn't see that. And I have no idea why I played rook to f4. What was I thinking? I guess I was thinking to stop that pawn. Maybe I was thinking I would get behind it with the queen and push forward. Yeah, that's what I did. My opponent never gave the advantage back to me at this point. We played a few more moves, and I'm just looking at the graph at the bottom until I made a huger mistake that gave it away for good. Because here we're still pretty close to even. And this is where I had two, according to the graph, not looking at the move list, but according to the graph, two big blunders in a row. What should I have done? Should I have checked? Because that looks kind of obvious. If I had checked here, they would have gotten out of the way, and then their rook would have been pointed at my queen. No, they couldn't have gone there because of my bishop. Okay, but they would have gone there, and then their rook would have been pointed at my queen. So should I have checked with this rook? I don't know what I did play. I'm about to look, but that's the only thing that I can guess right here is checking with this rook. But I mean, they would still go down. They would have to, I guess. Or put the knight back. Yeah, they could just put the knight back where they just moved it from. But either way, I don't know what that would accomplish. I guess I would go get their other rook. It says I should play queen to f5 or queen to g6 or h6. Those are my top three moves that keep us at or close to even, but what I played was rook to... Oh, I did play rook to e8 check, and that was my blunder. All right, rook to e8 check was my blunder, but that's the move that looked the most reasonable to me now. I don't know why h6, only thing I can see that it does is helps my king get off the back rank in the event of a coming catastrophe, which could happen soon with the way that their rooks are on an open file, their queen is on this long diagonal. Oh yeah, the problem here is when the king moves out of the way, I take the rook, they take the rook, and then they're threatening mate. Not really, not yet, but maybe soon. But if I play queen to f5, then I'm not, sorry, I can't even point at that square anymore. I'm not protecting that anymore. So yeah, I don't know what queen to f5 does. So this one I don't understand. A couple of the others I understood, and I saw the right move pretty quickly once I was looking for it, but this one, I don't understand why that's necessarily wrong. Their best move was king to the only move is king to d1. It was not to block with the knight. Blocking with the knight would have given me an advantage, but only if I played h6, which I still don't understand. But they moved there, and then here I blunder. I followed with another blunder. What I was supposed to do was get this out of the way. Taking that is not among the options, even though my queen is protecting here. Okay, now this blunder, I do understand why my blunder is a blunder, because that undefends this rook. I mean, what was I thinking? And of course they have mate in two if they take this, because then all I can do is block and it's mate. But my opponent didn't do it. I don't know. What were they thinking? Why did they do that? And then so I took that rook, and then it was over pretty soon after that. I finally played h6, and it's a blunder now. Who knows why? But anyway, they checkmated me in about 10 more moves. And if you remember from the ending, my king was out there someplace. Okay, so yeah, that last blunder there, I definitely understand why that's a blunder, because my goodness, I gave up mate in 2. And even though they didn't see it, it didn't matter. That was a little instructive. Hopefully the next game will be more instructive. Okay, in this one I did win by checkmate as shown on the board here. However, in the graph, I gave away a huge lead through the middle. What did I do to give it away? But then, and how did I get it back at the end? Okay, right here, my opponent has just blundered. According to Stockfish, according to the game review, I have a +5, almost +6 advantage, but I made a really bad move here that messed everything up. It looks like my opponent is very close to coming down this H-file. They've opened up my castled king, which is one reason I used to wait a lot before castling. I don't want to make this video longer with a bunch of commentary, but I used to always get my castled king broken open and mated there in the corner, so I quit castling for a long time. Or I would wait till like move 20, move 22, saving the opportunity to castle until it was really advantageous. Lately, I've just tried to get in the habit of castling early, but it looks like I fell into some trap here again. But the computer thinks I'm way ahead if I will do something. Well, I can't take the knight because my knight's pinned. So, you know, my knight's about to be toast. This bishop's undefended, and it's the only thing defending the knight. So should I have brought this back to defend that bishop? Should I have moved my king up to defend the bishop and attack the rook? No, if I move my king up, they're gonna move their queen over here and come down, right? Well, I guess they couldn't come down because my knight's guarding that square. Or no, they would just take the knight, but then I would take the rook. What should I have done? What should I have done? I can't see it. I'm going to turn on the thing here, the Stockfish. It says I should have played bishop to b4. What did I play? I played queen. Oh, I played one of the moves that I suggested here. I came back to defend the bishop because I saw the same thing that I just now saw. I don't know that I was seeing this. I do understand that it is threatening checkmate, so they would have to do something about that. Okay, I get that. But it looks like they could easily do something about it. It says they would play queen to f7. And then that would unpin the knight. But I wouldn't take their knight. I would play here, which would attack their queen. Okay, I think I get that. If I play here, threatening mate, they have to come back to defend. Then I attack their queen. Then they would just take my bishop. Am I following that line right? And then I would take their queen? Okay, well, that would leave me ahead fairly obviously, I think. But would they have, what other recourse would they have other than putting their queen there where I could just attack it? They could attack me in the corner, and I wouldn't take it. I would just move up. And it would be much worse for them if they just played here. But all of them are bad. All their top 3 moves leave me with a huge advantage. I guess I get that then. That's what I should have played. I should have not worried about this. That's where puzzle-solving techniques, I guess, would come into play. Because if I had stopped right here, obviously I can't see on the board at the time. Oh, it's doing that thing again where you can't get rid of the arrows or the circles. Okay, that's really frustrating. Used to, you could just right-click on any square and the rest of those things would go away. But anyway, if I had just stopped here after they took whatever they took with the rook, I assume it was a pawn, and said, is this a puzzle? I have 6 minutes left. I can take a few seconds and ask myself, do I have any checks, captures, or threats? I don't have any captures. As I said, the knight is pinned. I'm not going to capture this pawn with any of, these things. So there's no captures. Are there any threats? And I'm only at, 5 or 10 seconds of thinking here. There is a threat, and it's a serious one, and they have to do something about it. They just have to. Okay, I think I understand that. But then, so I did that blunder, and my opponent stayed ahead for quite some time, and we were in this situation where my king is running toward their side of the board. I have 4 minutes left in a 10-minute game, and my king is way over there. They took a pawn. It's still fine. They're still up -8. I made an empty threat on their bishop, which they moved. And just to be clear, I thought I was lost. But I did see that what little advantage I had to revolve around a couple of things. Their rook and knight haven't moved at all. And their rook only has one choice of moving right now, which isn't much. Their knight can't move here or here, so its only choice is there, which doesn't do a whole lot. But if they want to get that rook into the game, they're going to have to move the knight, and then the rook still doesn't have a lot of places to go. So anyway, I thought that was one of my advantages was having both my rooks and my bishop in the game, and the other advantage was having my king safe. My king is pretty safe right now, and it's protecting my rook. If they check me with their bishop, I'll just take this pawn and continue protecting my rook. I think what they thought here maybe was that they could move this pawn and attack my rook or something. The other advantage is that my other rook is free. Now my opponent came here, I guess, looking for some sort of discovered attack, and I took that pawn. Now I do know that my bishop is cutting off squares from their king. My king is cutting off the other square from this king. And I know I'm one move from mate, but again, it depends on what the opponent does. And they have a big lead here, and what they had to do was take that bishop. Now I would have taken their rook for it, but then their king could escape, and they would have been fine because they still have these other pieces over here. My opponent's up 6 points of material right now. They could have afforded this, but instead they did that, which of course allowed this check, which forced their king to go back where it was. And as I already said, all the squares are cut off, so all I have to do is move the rook down and it's mate. So yeah, whoops, I don't know what happened. I did not mean to go all the way back. I meant to go to right here. Yeah, that's how I got the advantage back. My opponent had to take this bishop, or just play d6. So their king can get away when I move this rook down. Now I still would have brought this other rook over and tried to get it in here. But again, they can play this pawn and have an attack on that square. They can still do this, but they gave me mate by, I don't know what that was supposed to have done. Okay, I think maybe the idea here was they forgot that I have a turn. I do this a lot too. Maybe you do it sometimes. You make a move thinking, on my next turn, I'll do A or B, but you don't take into account that in between your move you just made and the move that you want to make after it, your opponent gets to do something. And here, this is what my opponent thought. On my next turn, I'll take this bishop, and when white takes back, I'll get this rook. So they thought they would get both those pieces for their rook, but they forgot that I had another turn. And currently the rook is protected, and of course they left this open for a check. That's how that one worked out. I'm happy I kept playing instead of resigning when I was obviously very far behind. I made some pretty good moves to stay at the same level of behind, and then my opponent failed to capitalize on their lead. Let's go to game 3. In this game, it was about even the whole way, or my opponent was ahead until the last move, and I won by checkmate right here. The graph shows that actually, it looks like on move 3 or 4, my opponent blundered and I didn't take advantage of it. So let's take a look. Really early in the game here, that's a blunder, and I didn't take advantage of it. Wait, was this a Petrov? Yep. Okay. We had this in my Blitz video just a couple of days ago. I didn't know what to do in the Petrov. And I mentioned that I had been seeing it regularly recently, like maybe 1 out of every 10 games when I'm playing with the white pieces. So it's okay to take that apparently, and that's a blunder. And what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to just protect it with d4? I don't know. What I did play was just putting the knight back, and I thought that was all right, but maybe it's not, because that just allows them to take this. But wait, so does d4. I don't know. Oh, I should have come over here. Or d4 would have been fine, it says. Or knight to c3. Wait, if I had played knight to c3, how would that have been fine? How would I still have an advantage? They're going to take this. Sorry. This is not where the game was decided, but I never would have thought to play knight to c3 here. My knight's undefended. It says I can just play this, and I still have an advantage. And they're going to take this. They're a whole piece ahead. Well, now I play d4. Their best move is to back up. Okay, I get that. And then, oh, and now I win the piece back. Because they have to do this, and then I win the knight. And then they take it. So I should have just let them have the knight, knowing that 4 moves later, I would get a knight back. And I would have an advantage. Because why? We're even on material. We're both missing our e-pawns. We're even on material. We each have 1 piece developed. They're ready to castle, and I'm not. How am I ahead? Right? Oh, because it's my turn. Oh, I would check them. Okay. Wait, really? That slows down my development. But that's the best move. Knight to d5 is my second best move. But then they would castle. Okay, well, I don't understand all that. So, and I don't understand, even after following the line out, why I'm ahead at that point, or why this is so bad. It's really bad to take this back. I assume that's because they can take this pawn. But, okay. But what happened? Way down the line here, in the graph, my opponent had a couple of big advantages, but then gave it back, and it went to even. And that happened right here near the end. My opponent still has a big advantage. I've just blundered and made it even bigger. And they played one of their best moves, which is to line up with this pawn. Now, my best move is to check, because then they can't take the pawn. Because my king's guarding there. The rook can take the pawn, but not while they're in check, right? So I did play that, and they could go up here. Is that the only move that maintains their advantage? Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I thought they were going to do. I didn't know I was that far behind, but I thought my opponent has a lot more pawns than I do. They're going to force a passed pawn over here, right? All they got to do is move this up. if I take it, their other pawn advances, once my rook's not there anymore. The best thing for them to do would be to trade off their rooks at this point because, again, the two big passed pawns and the ability to force one over here. So they should have just come up. And I didn't know what I was going to do after that. Actually, if they'd come up, I thought I was going to come over here and check, and it says they just would have gone over here. And that'd have been fine. And then would I have advanced the pawn at that point? It says I wouldn't. It says I would go back over here to get behind this one, but instead they went back. And it's a draw now. I don't have an advantage. They just gave away their advantage, and it's even, dead even. And my best move is to bring my king. I thought it was because, again, the only thing that I can do is try to get this pawn passed. I can't do anything about my a pawn, and I don't have any other pieces. So I have to use my king and my rook to advance this f pawn. And before I can advance it any further, which would allow their king out, actually, if I advanced it any further, they would just take it. We would lose our rooks, and they would win. So I can't advance it yet, but I can go here. And then their king can't come back up because the rook's cutting off that whole thing. Plus, my pawn's cutting off too. And from up here, my king would be cutting off that one. So that seemed obvious to me. No, again, dead drawn. What my opponent should have recognized is what I just said, that my pawn and king cut off all of these, as well as the rook. But I don't need the rook to cut off those because of king and the pawn, and that this will be mate if I got another turn right now. So they have to do something about it. Okay, well, they can't get their rook back there to stop that. No, it wouldn't help if it was there, would it? That would still be mate. But, they can't get their rook to wherever it needs to be. Where does it need to be? Right there? Next to their king? I don't know. So how can they get out of it? Well, it has to be here. It has to be g8. Because then when I check, they can get out. And just like we said before, they can come around this way when I check again. But they didn't play that. And they didn't play their next best move, which was to check me. And their next best move after that is to give up their rook for this pawn. They advanced their h-pawn, which of course allows mate in one. Well, hopefully you got something out of that. I'm not going to go back and look at my other blunders, how I gave away all the other even positions to be losing, because that would just take too long. I have time for at least one more. All right, in case I haven't mentioned it before or put a little graphic on the screen at the beginning, the links to all these games are going to be in the description of this video, as I usually do, in case any of you want to go through the games move by move, because I am just hitting the highlights, I guess, because I'm doing this for me. I apologize. This isn't to teach you anything. It's not to entertain you. I'm just trying to get better at chess, trying to figure out my mistakes, why I'm making them and stop making them. But I'm recording in case it's entertaining or helpful to you in any way. But anyway, this is the fourth game. I resigned in this position. It turns out I was right to do so. According to the game review, I was way behind here. I was down only a couple of points of material. But it looked like I was about to get decimated here. I'm about to lose a whole nother piece. I don't know. They might take. It doesn't matter which one they take with. They're going to win the knight, right? And if I get out a check over here, they're going to win the knight. And then what do? They have a whole extra piece. They have a passed pawn. That's a passed pawn. It's already okay. Well, how did this happen? Let's go back to move 12. And again, I haven't looked in the right column. Is it my turn? I think no. It's their turn. Okay. Apparently they messed up here and gave me a lead, and I failed to capitalize on it. I have just attacked their knight. We're almost even. I don't know what they should have done, but they did that. I guess their idea was if I take their knight, they'll take my bishop. And what should I have done? Should I have taken? Oh, I should have just taken the pawn, right? Is that what I did, or is that what I should have done? I think I should have just taken the pawn. Let's turn on the. Nope. I'm guessing taking the pawn is what I did. No, it's not. My best move was just to drop it back. I should have just dropped the bishop back. Wait, but then they would have got their knight out of danger. It says they wouldn't have. It says they would have played a5 then. Wait, then why wouldn't I have taken their knight? I would have. Okay, then why wouldn't they have moved the knight? That doesn't make any sense. Okay, so if I played here, why wouldn't they move the knight? They have an obvious place to move it. Oh, because it's the only thing defending the other knight. I get the other knight either. I get one of the knights either way. Now they should play c6 or a5. Or bishop to b7 to protect that knight, but they're going to give up this knight. Okay, and yeah, that's the one I'm going to take. I don't know why they wouldn't give up the other one. They want to give up this one for some reason. I guess because they can take back and get a pawn for it. Maybe that's what the idea is. But yeah, I should have just dropped back. It's as if I had taken the pawn, we would have stayed about even, because then they could have dropped the other knight back, and I wouldn't be attacking this anymore. And if I had dropped back here, but instead of any of those things, I did this. So that gives my opponent an advantage. Why? But only if they take my bishop. Now they are up a pawn, but I don't see why it's such a big deal if they take my bishop. Anything else they do I would be back ahead again, +3 or better. But they take that, and they're ahead -3. And my best move is not to take back. My best move is queen to b3. I don't know why the arrow didn't go there. Okay, queen to b3. Okay, no, now it's about even to take this. Okay, so I take back. I'm just a pawn behind. But why is it -3? It's -3 if they play here. It's -3 if they play here. It's -3 if they play here. But I don't know why, because they're just a pawn ahead. And they did play one of those 3 moves. And now my best move is queen to b3 again, even though they've defended the knight. And also can move it. I don't know. Oh, is it because of that pawn? That's also easy to defend. Oh, they can't defend both of them. Is that why? That's my best move, because they can't defend both of those? Or this. Okay, it's got to be about that b pawn then, but they're just going to play a6 after those moves. Yes. Or knight to e1, at which point they would put this rook here. I don't know why those moves are best. What I saw is that I wanted to move my knight, but I can't move my knight because my knight's covering that square where they could fork my pieces. So before I moved my knight, I had to move my queen. So I did move my queen. Also, that covers 2 of the squares that the knight can come in, 3 of the squares that the knight can come in, or more. But that made it worse, and I'm still not sure why, because I'm still only down a pawn. My king is safe. Now, they didn't play one of their better moves here. Sorry, I've already shown you my blunder. My blunder was moving my bishop back. That was it. That was my only blunder in the game. But now I'm trying to figure out why I'm down -3 here. And they can play knight. I can play knight to c3 now, which I did. That was my best move. Their best move is to take my pawn. I'm supposed to take it back with the pawn, or take this one, or play rook to b2. But that was a mistake to take with the knight because they can take here. But then I would take that. I don't understand. Okay. But yeah, it came back to right here. If I had just, when my opponent played that, if I had just dropped to b3, I would have been fine. But dropping it back here gave my opponent an advantage that they were able to press for the rest of the game. And I didn't figure it out until they took that pawn. Okay, well, that's kind of a down note to end this on, but not just because it's depressing that I got brutalized in this game, but also because how am I supposed to know right here that 11 moves later, I'm going to be about to go down a piece? Surely my opponent, who was rated lower than me when we played this game, also didn't know that. They thought they were just offering a trade here. They thought, oh yeah, he's gonna take my knight and I'm gonna take his bishop. I mean, yeah, I do see why this is better, but what I'm talking about is how to know that just trading the bishop for the knight at this point would send me behind in a way that neither one of us would know until 11 or 13 moves later. How long did I spend on that move? 9:32. Oh, I only spent 7 seconds. Also, there's no flag that pops up in the middle of a game and say, oh, this move is really important. It never happens. And there's never a point during the game where it says, oh, you only have 1 move here. But I wish there was some way for me to know this is a crucial moment. If I pass this test, I'll be okay. Hopefully you're having a little better luck at chess than I am. But anyway, I do appreciate you spending your time here. I've got to get on to other things in my regular non-chess life, which is what I spend most of my day doing. But I'll see you next time.